Let's talk about the most toxic relationship ever. But first, before we get into the most toxic relationship ever, do you even know what toxic means? Or is it just something that you heard on social media and you just been walking around saying it like a parrot? So let's see what toxic actually means. First of all, toxic is described as a very harmful or unpleasant in a pervasive or insidious way. Matter of fact, we're going to get into the etymology or the root of the word toxic, which means, as you see, it's in the Latin root toxicum, which means poison. Poison. Now think about that. Toxic is something that's harmful, unpleasant, even insidious. And I'm talking about a particular relationship that I believe and I'm approved is the most toxic relationship ever. Now, what do you think is the most toxic relationship ever? You think it's probably one of these celebrity relationships that you see about on your timeline all the time between some rapper, some athlete, or some actor. That's probably what you think, and you probably got some ideas in your head, something like what you see right here on your screen. Well, I mean, if I'm talking about a particular relationship, it's got to be some celebrity, well-known relationship that we always hear about and talk about, right?
Wrong, 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 wrong.
Now, see, the toxic relationship that I'm talking about in particular makes all those relationships look like puppy love by comparison. The toxic relationship that I'm talking about, I mean, it includes things like kidnapping, human trafficking, theft, rape, terrorism, bombs, and even murder. And the toxic relationship that I'm talking about actually lasted longer than any of those celebrity relationships. And I'm not talking 1 year, 2 year, not even 20 years. In fact, not even 200 years. The toxic relationship that I'm talking about lasts at least 400 years and it's still going. I mean, a relationship that bad should probably end, right? I mean, they should probably divorce. They should probably go their separate ways. They should probably, what's the word I'm looking for? They should probably separate. All right, y'all done figured me out by now. I'm talking about the relationship between the black and Aboriginal man and woman in North America and white supremacy. Yeah. Which is without question the most toxic relationship by definition in the history of the planet Earth. Now remember the definition. We're going off just the definition, not your feelings and none of that, just actual facts. The definition of toxicity is something that's very harmful, unpleasant, and insidious. Insidious. That's a heavy word right there. Let's look at what insidious means. Insidious is proceeding in a gradual, subtle way, but with harmful effects. But see, let's get back into them roots. Let's go to the root, the etymology. What is the etymology of insidious? It has the Latin root incidere, which means to lie in wait for. To lay in the cut, as we say. But to lie in wait, that sounds familiar. I've heard that somewhere. In fact, I've heard it in scripture. In scripture, the devil himself says, as thou hast adjudged me to be erring, I will certainly lie in wait for them in thy straight path. And speaking of scripture, I like the way the most honorable Elijah Muhammad described this toxic relationship in a book called Message to the Black Man in America. Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad says, "You, my dear people, are like a woman desperately in love with her man who does not love her. Therefore, this love is blind. This man can beat, torture, ravage, humiliate, shame, and mock, but she will yet love him. And even when someone tries to tell her that this man is no good, she will yet love him anyway." See, because every relationship, especially a marriage, it's an agreement. It's a covenant. And whenever you want to break a covenant, it needs to be what they call disannulled or annulled. And to my Bible scholars out there, you can even find something in the Bible that tells you about covenants and something being annulled. You can go to the book of Isaiah 28 and 18. And it says, "And your covenant with death shall be disannulled. And your agreement with hell shall not stand. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, then ye shall be trodden down by you." Now it's talking about death and it's talking about hell. But weren't we always taught that you would know nothing about hell until after you die? This Bible scripture is insinuating that hell is something that you can have an agreement or a covenant with right here on earth. Think about it. I mean, come on now, let's keep it a buck. I see all the things on social media and the complaints and disagreement between male and female. And I know the sisters out there, y'all tired of no good men who are toxic and mistreat you. Brothers, I hear what y'all talking about too. That's why y'all like certain people and certain platforms that air out all the grievances that we have with the opposite sex. But do you really have a problem with those things? Or do you only have a problem when it's coming from somebody that looks like you? I mean, I'm just wondering, why won't we keep that same energy with our enemy? I mean, everything that we complain about, everything that has the black man and woman at each other's necks, there's an enemy out there that's been doing it longer to us and worse to us. And how do we repay them? Oh, we just give them 98% of our money. And the closer we are to them, professionally, educationally, or even just in proximity in the neighborhoods we live in, the more successful we think we are. In fact, we brag about how much of our life we've given to them, how much money we've spent with them. Listen, man, I don't want to start nothing. It's just I've always heard people tell women and sometimes even men, black men and women in particular, who are in toxic relationships. I've always heard people say, usually big mama or some elder in the family would look that sister right in the eye and say, "Baby, you can do bad all by yourself." So as your brother, I'm looking at the whole diaspora, black men and women, from a cultural standpoint, political standpoint, and economic standpoint. Brother, sister, you can do bad all by yourself. Let's get it. I'm just your brother, Landon X. This is Nation Town TV, and this is Right Down to the Modern Times.